Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, happy Taco Tuesday. I haven't done Taco Tuesday in a while. I think we're ready for Taco Tuesday. It's draft week. We're going to talk some draft today with the great TJ Rives. We were actually speaking earlier this morning about some fun historical Bucs draft stories that we're going to reminisce about. So do a little draft history with TJ Rives, and we'll do a little draft present with Scott Reynolds at 10:30 from Pewter Report. So lots of Bucs draft talk in this particular show here this morning. The JP Peterson Show brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You can reach him at PalermoPA.com. Nick Geddes from Outkick.com joining me this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. We have Rays baseball tonight. Lightning
we do.
Hockey tonight.
We
last
do.
Home game before the playoffs. And we have the NFL draft in 2 days. So a jam-packed week here in Tampa Bay sports. We're not letting up, are we?
No,
we're not letting up.
Absolutely not. It's Tampa Bay. And, of course, Tampa Bay took over the White House yesterday as the Lightning were up there visiting Joe Biden. We've got some hilarity to ensue on that front, as it was a great monumental occasion for both of the Lightning Stanley Cup championship teams. All the players from the last two championship teams were there. Beautiful day, and just great to see the Lightning get their due, and the Stanley Cup was up there. Of course, Mayor Castor would not miss an opportunity to get in front of those cameras. Love the mayor, but that seemed a little over. That seemed a little bit of like, I got to get in the picture type deal.
I was more.
Did it not?
Maybe, but I was more. Did you see the picture of, I think, Mayor Bob Buckhorn, or former Mayor Bob Buckhorn?
Was he there too?
And Rick Kreisman. They were all there.
What?
And they took a picture together, and a lot of people were like, but they're not the mayors. Like, it was all three of them there.
Come on.
No, dead serious.
Politicians. I love Bob. I love Rick. I love the mayor. I love them all. I know them. They're great people. That just, come on. Is that not just like, hey, I got to get in the picture deal?
I can't believe you haven't seen the photo yet.
No, I have not.
I don't know if you follow Mayor Bob Buckhorn.
I follow Mayor Castor and Mayor Kreisman. I guess I was not on Twitter a lot last night, but I was this morning. I didn't see it.
I saw you were on Twitter this morning.
Yes, yes. Ivermectin is trending on Twitter. Yes, yes.
You were rolling with that.
Freedom has returned to Twitter. No, look, that's a big deal. It's a huge, huge deal. I'm sorry, this is, and I know some people are freaking out about this, but what's been going on Twitter is really, it's criminal, number one, and and for everything that a lot of these critics are saying about what Twitter is going to be now, it has been for the last couple of years. I mean, it's 5 years, and for what I was shadow banned for, talking about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and banned, which we now know does treat COVID and has for a long, long time. And the doctors that were actually treating patients with it and having great success and were had their licenses pulled, and you couldn't talk about it on Twitter. Millions of people died needlessly. That's the truth. And that's not me talking about it. It's Dr. Harry Reach, Bhattacharya, Dr. Malone, et al. All these tremendous doctors that have been working with patients and working and curing them. And that was not allowed to be put on Twitter, and it's a shame. And so many things that you were not allowed to say. The lab leak theory. I mean, we could go on and on and on. I don't want to get into that rant right now, but I think what has happened is a monumental day. It's a monumental day that we can have free speech again, and all opinions can be out there. And I know, look, there are whack jobs out there, and many of them have been allowed to stay on Twitter. While some people have been selectively banned, as we know, we can still moderate it, but not to the level of being partisan politics. And this is not against Democrats. It's not against liberals. This is against, what I'm talking about is against the people that want to censor things for nefarious purposes. And we've seen that happen. And as I just mentioned, millions of people died needlessly. So it's sad, but that's what censorship does. That's what censorship does. It's never history has never looked kindly on it. It does not work. In fact, it's a very dangerous thing. So hopefully we'll get back to having a little free speech and free exchange of us. And by the way, stop and we can do this politely. We can have polite debates like we used to have, which actually get things done and change people's minds instead of just cancel culture and, with 0 to 100. You're either black, white. It's everything is one side or the other. It's not that way. We live in a world of gray, and we need to be able to get back to free exchange of ideas, and hopefully we can. All right, so we got a great show for you. We got Scott, we got TJ. We're going to get into the Rays as well, who open up a series against the Mariners at home tonight. Should be a rocket crowd of about 7,000 to 8,000 tonight. Although attendance has been good this year.
I was about to say
Very
attendance
good.
so far.
Yeah.
We knocked it out of the park with the
Red Sox series.
The Red Sox series. I was going to say we had 20,000 or more on Saturday and Sunday.
Must have made a lot of money that day.
They made a lot of money.
That day. Covered the whole payroll.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just saying, if you're looking for cheap tickets, the Mariners are a good team, by the way.
Yeah.
Streaking 8-2 in their last 10. A lot of good players over there, exciting. Of course, your Rays are always exciting.
Exactly. It's a great show.
I brought up to you, we talk about ticket prices. If you're looking for a game to sit in a really good seat and pay maybe a little bit more, tonight's your night. I told you $60 to sit right behind home plate in
That's
that
not
area.
bad. That's not bad.
So,
that's appropriate price for that ticket.
So add that all up. I think the outfield's like 15, which is much better.
There we go.
So
there we go.
If you had nothing to do tonight or this week, go to the game.
Well, I got a Lightning game.
I know
tonight.
you do, but others out there.
Yeah. If you have a choice of going to a Lightning game or a Rays game.
Well, it's the last Lightning home game too. It's the last time before those ticket prices jump up.
Come on. I'm biased, I know, but the show, like, come on. That's a real show.
The show?
That's a big time show. That Lightning game is a big time show.
Greg Wolf got an article in Forbes.
How about that? Yeah.
Big time.
I even got a little mention in Forbes. Well, it threw me out there. But he got, in Forbes magazine. Man.
That's a big freaking deal.
That's a big deal. Yeah. His PR agent is cooking. And well deserved as well. He is America's host now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we're probably I think American Idol is next for him. I really do. I think it's next. All right, let's get to some of the fun sound from the White House trip yesterday. All the players were there, and Coach Cooper was there, obviously, and every politician that has anything to do with Tampa Bay evidently coattailed their way up there. Let's play some of the Biden, the Vinnick. We got all kinds of good stuff here. In case you missed it.
At the risk of stating the obvious here, it's a pretty good time to be a sports fan in Tampa.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what the hell you have in the water down there, but
boat parades.
over the last, please have a seat. Don't stand because of me. I am so sorry. See, the Congresswoman knew to sit down immediately. Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. The Rays won the pennant.
Woo.
And these guys behind me became back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. And they may be here next year. Who knows?
That's right, baby. They might be back next year. Certainly the way they played the last three games, outscoring those three playoff opponents 22-7. Not too shabby.
Crazy. Great. I don't know about you, by the way. I don't care who the president is or whatever,
mm-hmm.
but I still think of this area, even though it's blowing up, as a relatively small. I always feel like it's smaller, I know it's blowing up, but I have this sense of pride, I guess,
mm-hmm.
that when the president says my city's name, I pop a little bit.
You should.
I pop. I'm like, holy crap, the president just said my city's name. And here's the people that play in my city right there at the White House.
It's a big deal.
It's still a big deal to me.
It's a big deal. I think I don't know, maybe as a little perspective of being older myself, it felt bigger in years past when teams went to the White House. But now, since it got so political with Trump, I think it feels less so for whatever reason. But let's listen to some more sound here. We got Jeffrey Vinnick at the podium, our esteemed and wonderful, beloved owner.
Exactly why the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in sports. Hopefully we'll be back here again. We've already been invited, so hopefully we'll be back here next season. Maybe we can I did write down here, we could get you down to Tampa. Oh, So the First Lady's invited for the games. You're invited, though. You're invited, Mr. President, for one of our one-of-a-kind championship boat parades.
Yes.
And they are fun. They are fun to do.
Yes.
You can come to the games, too. You're welcome. You know what? No talking rule or sweep when the puck's in play. Nobody's allowed to talk. I'm an exception for you. In closing,
we'll even have a prompter.
Thank you for your hospitality and the honor of coming here to be part of this storied tradition.
Nicely done, Jeff. Do we have the infamous Batman comment?
Yes, we do.
This is the one that went viral because Hedman's behind him, and when he says Batman instead of Batman, which of course that's an easy one to flub. That doesn't even go in his top 10. Hedman just starts cackling.
I want to thank Commissioner Gary Batman and for being here as well. And at the risk of stating the obvious here,
he has no idea he's like right in the frame behind
sports.
him. He has no idea he's in the frame right behind him.
And I think hockey Twitter was kind of like praising him for doing that because Batman's like the most
hated
person
absolutely.
in the entire league.
Yeah, that went over very well. The whole thing went over very, very well. Absolutely. Yeah. Good. Do we have any other sound?
Still trying to field the others. Those are the main highlights from yesterday's festivities.
Yeah. Good stuff. And now it's back to hockey. We got Columbus in the house tonight. It'll be interesting to see who rests, who doesn't. I mean, obviously, I think the Lightning are pretty much, locked into probably playing Toronto in the upcoming playoffs. And for me, I'm good with that. I think that sets up really well. So what would it would be as it is today? It would be the Lightning playing Toronto.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And Florida playing Boston.
I believe Florida would play Washington, if I'm not mistaken. Who is, I believe, the 8th seed.
Oh, they are the 8th seed. Yeah. Let me bring the wild card play. So right now, Washington is in the 8th seed. How about that? Washington is the 8th seed with 100 points.
This is the
100 points.
This is the first time in the history in the NHL that an entire conference has had all 8 teams with 100 points plus.
Wow.
First time in the history of the NHL.
That is ridiculous. And Florida's going to win the President's Trophy. Good for you. Good for you. That just assures that you're not going to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, we snapped a little 13-game winning streak or whatever it was the other night
did.
too. So,
yeah, we did.
In glorious fashion, might I add, 8-4.
It was a hell of a win. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but that was as complete a win. And what really impressed me about that most is I thought that even though maybe Florida, tried to be tougher or what have you, I thought they wore down as the game went on. Would you agree? Because, I expected a big push from them in the third. What were they down? They were down 2 to enter the third, and the Lightning just expanded the lead. That was, you go back and you watch what the Lightning did to win these 2 cups. I think if you had to single out the most important thing that they did was close out games. They could protect 1 goal and 2 goal leads like nobody's business. And now obviously that's a lot of Vasilevsky, but it's also a committed decor and all, everybody on the ice committed to playing defense first. And that's always been when they are at their best and the scoring comes. And that was perfectly evident in the third period the other night against the Panthers. And I hope I'm right on this, but I see Florida as kind of the team like we were before we won the cup when we lost to Columbus that first time. It's just, I don't think Florida is a playoff hardy team. They're very, very talented. They're extremely talented, but I don't know until they show you something in the playoffs. You can't really.
Yeah, but
you can't give them credit.
You can't. But last year, I thought they might have been the second best team in the East.
I would agree with that.
In all things, they just kind of ran into the Lightning.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I thought that was the hardest series the Lightning had to play.
Yep.
And they got guys that can get physical. I don't want to undersell them. Noel Chari, Ryan Lomberg, who is always just a pest, an absolute pest on that ice.
And Ekblad might be back for the.
He might be back for the playoffs. Yeah. You saw what Bennett did to Sergachev's nose.
Yeah.
Okay, he can get down with it. Patrick Hornquist has seen a lot of playoff hockey in his time. They got a lot, and Claude Giroux's a guy who's desperate to win a cup that they brought in. They got a lot of guys in there and veterans. They're a loaded team. They're a loaded team. There's a reason why they've got 120 points this year and had a 13-game winning streak. And they lead the league in comeback wins. They never go away, which, by the way, said more about the Lightning in that game.
Exactly.
Because when it came 6-4, they put that little graphic there on the ESPN telecast, 15 comeback wins in the third period, and you thinking they're going to turn it up, Lightning shut them down.
Yeah.
So if they do meet in the playoffs, it's going to be tough either way, I think.
Yeah, but I like the Lightning because of their experience and their goaltending.
Yeah,
that to me puts them over the top.
And Nick Paul too, his presence there. Yep. I think he's going to earn himself another year here at Tampa Bay. If I had to guess, I think with him and Hagel too, I think has been more noticeable picking up assists. I want him to get the puck in the back of the net a little bit more, but he's starting to kind of figure things out here about 20 games in. So you got to love where the Lightning are right now.
Yeah, and I think yesterday, as Stamkos said, I don't know if we had a quote, this kind of reminds them of their place in the game. You know, when you go to the White House and you get this honor, it's a very tangible sign, and I think it touches you. It's got to touch you emotionally, and it's got to fire you up. It's got to fire you up and say, you know what? Yeah, we are the champs. Even though we went through a couple of months where we got beat down a little bit. We got humbled a little bit. The last 3 games remind us that we are the champs. This trip to the White House reminds us that we are the champs. Let's do that Stamkos one right there. Of him sitting at the podium right there. That'll do. Steven Stamkos, captain, my captain.
Yeah, we got a chance to hang out in the
wow, that's terrible audio.
The rooms a little bit. A few of us got an opportunity to meet the president before. Obviously, the ceremony was amazing, and we've been here for a couple hours. So it was, like I said, under the circumstances the last couple of years, this wasn't able to happen. So to be able to come here in the current state that we're at and really get to enjoy the experience. We got a chance to go in the Oval Office as well with the president. He was so generous with his time with our group. So I know we appreciate that a lot.
Hope you could hear that, a little bit of Steven Stamkos right there. They got the tour of the Oval Office as well.
Yeah, they did.
Great, just a great day for the Lightning, and kind of sets them up as they move forward. And tonight, get back at it to Columbus. I would expect tonight might be a little bit of I could see a letdown coming tonight. I'm gonna check where Columbus is. I don't think they're in the hunt anymore.
No, well, the 8 playoff teams have already been settled.
Yeah.
And I think it goes Islanders and maybe.
Yeah, they're just playing out the stream.
They're just playing out the stream. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the Lightning just will take care of business tonight. I mean, do you think it's that important as far as seeding? I really don't. When you have 8 teams all with 100 points, it just it is what it is. Any team you play is going to be tough. I mean, you'd rather have maybe a little bit of home ice advantage at some point, but
I didn't necessarily want to play Florida first round. I think that was when we were starting to slide.
Yeah,
I was like, please don't get in that 8 spot.
Yeah.
But now I've kind of come to the fact, you said it, 8 teams all over 100 points. You're going to have to go through all of them at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well face the team that I think is going to be maybe the most desperate right now to win a cup is Toronto. If I had to add, probably them in Florida. And if you beat them, I think you probably got to play Florida next in the second round anyway. So, I mean, it's put up or shut up time for the Lightning.
Yeah, so it really doesn't matter. You got to go through them all. It's going to be brutal in the East. It's going to be absolutely brutal. I can see every series going 7 games.
You really could.
I mean, I don't think we've ever seen that before, but you can see every series going 7 games. And it's not even worth looking out west, to be quite honest. You got so much of a gauntlet to go through. Colorado is the 1 seed, even though they've struggled a little bit as of late. They've lost 4 in a row, but 116 points. They're the best in the West. Excuse me. Minnesota, St. Louis have already clinched spots. That last spot still very much up for grabs. Calgary, Edmonton. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to seeing the teams in the East, and we've done so well against the Pacific Division and the West in general. I don't think there's any of the teams really out west scare me. But going through the East,
The Colorado's always going to scare me. They're always going to scare me. The same way I get that feeling when McDavid has the puck, I get that feeling when McKinnon has the puck and Rantanen and McCarr. I mean, they're there. Calgary, we saw what they can do. I think they have the most goals in the entire league this year next to Florida. So there is some teams that scare me, but you got to get there first. You got to get there first. They got more to worry about. The Rangers, the Hurricanes in the Metro, the Penguins have had our number. There's just so many teams in the East. It's a gauntlet. It really is. Yeah, and maybe just getting through the East is going to be such a gauntlet that whoever's there waiting in the West might have an easier blow through. I mean, you look at the West. Some of these teams like Edmonton is plus 32 in goal differential. Probably making the playoff. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. The Kings are plus 2. The Knights are plus 17. I think it's much more balanced out front out there. It's a bit top heavy in the East. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for playoff hockey, man. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in terms of intensity, the crowds. It's the best, and we're on the precipice of that. And maybe we could put the whistle away, Wes McCauley. Please. Why don't we put Wes McCauley away for the playoffs? I think we should. I mean, did you know the way he threw Andrew Burnett out of that game? And he's the only other guy he's thrown out this year was John Cooper in that game against Pittsburgh. Ridiculous. I mean, what is Wes McCauley? What has he got against the game of hockey right now? I don't know. Completely ridiculous, though. Stop it, Wes. Stop it. All right. The Rays are back at it tonight against the Mariners. 6:40 start at the Trop. McClanahan was fantastic the other day. Who's going today? Is it Kluber? Who we got going today? It's Kluber because he pitched on Friday. Josh Fleming. Josh. No, it's not Whistler tonight. So that means a bullpen day. Yeah, we might see some Fleming as well. I just love that this team is at home and don't have to go play up in the cold weather. And starting to get a little bit of their offense going. I would still like to see a little bit more intelligent base running. Can we say that? Yes. That has been a bugaboo this early on in this season. I love the aggression of Randy Arozarena, as opposed to sometimes the stupidity of Kevin Kiermaier. There's a difference. I like the aggression, not so much the brain plays. And I guess Kiermaier got get out of jail free card with that walk-off home run. Yeah, he's earned himself no criticism for this week at least. Yeah. From me, because I know that's what you were just waiting to get me when we came on the show yesterday. Well, about Kevin Kiermaier. Well, we both called for the pinch hitter right before he. Exactly, and you're the one who texted transparency. Me. I'm like, why are we letting this guy hit? Are you kidding me? All we need is a single. But God bless him. He does have a flair for the dramatic. Let's give him that. Yeah. Nice little basket catch. Yeah, I did see that. You like that over the shoulder basket catch? Did you like that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Not many people in the game that can do that. Or will do that. No, that's our boy. So I'll be interested to watch a little Rays baseball. I'll be watching the Rays telecast as I'm doing my lightning duties tonight. A lot of us do that in the Chase Club. We got the Rays game on and watching the big board and watching it on the ice too. It's a nice little little deal. I hope the Rays bring their bats tonight because they're going up against Logan Gilbert, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with. No, but I am not. 2-0 so far with a 0.54 ERA. So he's a budding ace for the Mariners. Maybe their best pitcher next to Robbie Ray. Really hard stuff. And the Rays don't really do well against those kind of pitchers. And the way the bats have been, I mean, you said they were timely in the Red Sox series. They weren't consistent for the first two games by any means. No. So I still would love to see the hitting get together. Josh Lowe, I'm still waiting to kind of like he flashes here and there. But there's no consistency out of Josh Lowe right now. There's no consistency out of his offense right now. Not really, no. But I think he's a guy. I don't know if they try to play him like 5-6 times a week. I don't know about that right now. Yeah. I don't know how much he's giving you at the moment, which we said he's going to take time to figure it out. Yeah. They're just missing something offensively. Yeah. That's why, they supposedly went out and tried to get all those guys in the offseason and got none of them. They have the big RBI hole. Trading Austin Meadows is just at this point does not look like something that's helping this team this year. Unless they bring Paredes up and he can add something offensively.
that's a big hole right now. If you're looking for the chink in the armor, that's it.
And when the COVID thing happened, and maybe they just didn't want to bring Paredes back up here because they were going to send him back down, but they brought up Bruhan,
right?
Who, again, he mashes it in AAA. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see him take advantage of one of these opportunities, don't you?
Yes.
I know that it's hard, and he kind of feels blocked right now by the Taylor Walls and Franco and Lau at those positions, and obviously in the outfield as well. But I don't know if he's a trade candidate, maybe if he doesn't do anything of note at all or show any kind of sign in the big leagues, because I haven't seen much out of him in the small time he's been up here. I don't want to write him off, but I think they think of Paredes more highly than him.
Oh, I think so.
At
no
the
doubt.
moment and
No
his
doubt.
bat. But I want to see Paredes in the next month if he continues doing what he's doing at AAA.
Yeah, and he may be just like Bruhan, where a guy that just can't get comfortable at the major league level. And it's tough for these guys when they come up for short stints.
Yeah.
It's really it takes a while. You need a good 2 or 3 months consistently before you can really get a feel for what's going on in the big leagues. And, these guys just might not get that opportunity this year. But if the offense continues to sputter, I think, you got to look at it.
Yeah. And another guy I want to see get going is Brandon Lau, because he goes through these funks. He's in one right now where he just cannot hit anything. And I think his average is now dipped below 200, Brandon Lau, I believe. And as your leadoff hitter, certainly not ideal.
No good.
But when he gets going, he can put the team on your back. He can put the team on your back. And I think we're getting to that point where he needs to pick it up a little bit here.
I want to just say a big thanks to Jeff Scott and the folks out at USF. I was out there yesterday and honored to MC their golf tournament, their coaches golf tournament. And I tell you what, there's a lot of positive momentum at USF. And I said this before we did the live auction and raised over $100,000. We had some good deal. We had a Masters experience where you get to go to the big what's it called? They have this incredible tent where you get booze, food. They have like replica putting greens from the Masters. It's right across the street. You get 2 tickets and night stay. Went for $10,000. It was all that is a great package and actually a pretty good deal. We had a great live auction and raised a lot of money out there. And you could just see at USF that so many, I think, really great leaders. I believe, I really believe in Jeff Scott as a leader. Whether he's going to be able to get the talent to put these, to get USF back in contention in the conference, remains to be seen. But I just feel like some good's coming there. I really do. They've got great leadership. Their new I think their new president, Rhea Law, will make a big difference in athletics because the last one really didn't. I think this on-campus stadium, I'm very much in favor of, and I think it's going to bring a lot of energy to the program. They're opening up the new indoor facility. And with Michael Kelly at the helm, and Jeff said this yesterday, and I think a lot of you will laugh. But he was at Clemson, and obviously when the rise took place with Dabo Sweeney, and you saw, Dan Radakovich, one of the best ADs in all of college football and college athletics, came in, and Dabo, and they started, they got the boosters together, and everything was working in the right direction. And you kind of get a sense that USF has a lot of that going on right now as well. It's going to be tough. It always is in this market when you're battling the Bucs and the Rays and the Lightning for attention. It's a little bit harder, and I think in a metropolitan market like this than it is in a Clemson or a Tuscaloosa or a Tallahassee or Athens to gather that crowd support. But that's the last piece. And he mentioned this yesterday. There are 250,000 USF alumni in the Tampa Bay area. I mean, you see Bulls license plates, stickers everywhere.
Yep.
Y'all got to show up. Y'all got to show up. You do.
Yeah.
And you got to show up at the games because without an atmosphere, they can't recruit. They cannot recruit if there's going to be 10,000 people in the stands at Ray J in the next few years before they get the on-campus stadium. In football, it's different. College football, you got to show up before they get good. And that's the missing piece for me. That will help them in recruit. Obviously, the missing piece is talent right now. In order to get this talent, you got to create a game day atmosphere, and that means the fans got to turn out.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on that. I don't know if you saw the Athletic did a really lengthy piece about a week ago about USF and how the downfall of USF.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got a chance to read it. It was fantastically done and kind of highlights everything in the Jim Levitt era, and he's in there quoted a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And he mentioned he feels like the administration let this program down.
Absolutely. 100%.
Over the past 10 years. And he
100%.
mentioned in 2007, 2008, they would get 53,000 people a game.
That's right.
In that stadium.
That's right.
And now you're getting, what, 10,000 maybe?
Yeah.
No matter who you play.
Yep.
I mean, it's a sad state of affairs. It really is.
And he proved that it could happen.
That he
here.
could do it here. That's what he said. He was talking about UCF being in the Big 12, and we don't even have a stadium. The fact that UCF jumped them and got to the Big 12.
That's right.
And we're just sitting down here low. He said that should have never happened.
He's
and
absolutely
the administration
right.
let that go on.
Yeah, he's 100% right. Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes, and I know that the former president did some great things for UF in terms of getting them from an academic standpoint, getting them funding and all those academic world things that are obviously, way more important than football. I get it. But also, if you're going to have an athletic program, you got to support it. You got to do it the right way. And I think that there's a kind of a new sheriff in town with this new combination of leadership, I think can really get them over the top. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Scott Reynolds is going to join us from Pewter Report. We're going to talk some NFL draft, Buccaneers draft specifically, and maybe go down memory lane on some of the missteps and some of the big hits. Stay with us. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home. Or email him at scott@amstampa.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. Return to the show here with my camera. There we go. And let's welcome in our good friend from the Pewter Report, Bucs website extraordinaire, Scott Reynolds. Been covering this team for 27 years, I believe. Is that correct? You've done 27 drafts here, Scotty?
Yeah, that's correct, JP.
Yeah.
Number 27.
You don't look that old, fella. You look kind of young, actually. I didn't know you were that old. And I was actually chatting with TJ this morning, TJ Rives, and we were having some chuckles about some of the great draft stories of years past. I mean, and for many, many years, it was such a part of the Yucks culture. Bo Jackson. That whole story with Hugh Culverhouse is a classic, unbelievable. I mean, so many great. Do you have a favorite draft story?
Well, I mean, I went to the Senior Bowl in 2005. That was the year the Bucs were coming off a 4-12 season, a lot of injuries. And in 2004, John Gruden and the Bucs coaching staff was at the Senior Bowl with the South Squad. And there was a running back there. His name was not Carnell Williams. It was Cadillac Williams, man. Cadillac, man. And they took a liking to him. And the other guy that was on that team was this player out of Troy. He was a defensive player. Ended up being a pretty good pass rusher, DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
And I know that Monty Kiffin loved him. And he saw him as the heir apparent to Simeon Rice, right? You could literally hand the torch off to Simeon Rice, his career was dwindling, and hand the baton off to this guy, and not go 12 years without having a double-digit sacker. But no, the Buccaneers on my birthday, April 23rd in 2005, ruined it by selecting the third running back off the board with the 5th overall pick. You talk about horrific draft value.
Oh,
you had and
he was
Ronnie
the second best one on his team, his college team, with Ronnie Brown.
Correct. Yeah, Ronnie Brown went number 1. Cedric Benson went to the Bears at number 4, the kid out of Texas.
Yeah.
And then Cadillac Williams. And I swear to JP, if he did not have the Cadillac nickname, I don't think that John Gruden would have become enamored. I just think that John just kind of fantasized about, hearing sports talk radio and reading stories about, John Gruden driving Cadillac all over Tampa Bay,
Yep.
And I just think that that's one of those little quirks about Gruden. Cadillac had a pretty good rookie season. Injury kind of ended his career early. Only had that 1,000-yard season, but just horrific value there when you could have had your future Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware at number 5 instead. And Monty Kiffin was not happy about that, by the way.
Wasn't that also the year? Wasn't it the Aaron Rodgers year as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that was so. Not only did they pass on him up on the top of the draft to take the third running back in the draft and the second best running back on his college team. But later on in the, I think with Packers were sitting at 26, I think it was. And
yeah, it was later in the 20s.
And I forget who told this story, but somebody who was in the Packers draft room was basically saying, we were waiting for Tampa Bay to call. We were ready to trade the pick. We wanted to trade the pick. We did not want to take Aaron Rodgers. And so we were like, well, we're almost positive Gruden's going to call. They're going to call and offer us something. And the Bucs never did. They never did.
Well, see, there you go, JP. Aaron Rodgers disrespected by the Packers even before he was drafted.
Exactly, and disrespected by a lot of other people too. But imagine that, and that's one of the knocks on Gruden. He was never able to draft a quarterback, even when he was in charge of the drafting. And it was just a weird dynamic. And it's interesting. So there's a call that wasn't made. Right. A call that wasn't made. We talk all this stuff that goes on within the draft, but that's a call that, obviously could have changed the fortunes of the entire Buccaneer franchise. One momentary lapse right there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And you talk about John Gruden, who, when he had a veteran roster, he always liked free agency better than draft, the draft itself, because his offensive system was so complex. He needed a veteran quarterback to run it. That's why, he loved Rich Gannon out in Oakland. That's why he loved Brad Johnson in Tampa and Brian Griese. And then, when he had to teach it to a young player like Chris Sims, it just wasn't fast enough, and it was just too arduous. And listen, as a result, in 7 years, John Gruden and Bruce Allen drafted one Pro Bowl player One.
Wow.
And that was Davin Joseph in the first round.
Wow.
And listen, Rich McKay had his faults for sure. He wasn't a perfect general manager, but and I think he got way too much credit because Jerry Angelo, Tim Russell did an awful lot of heavy lifting in the personnel side.
Yep.
I think Rich was a great politician more than he was a football guy, but he did allow his people to do their job. And you look at, I mean, Rondé Barber, Mike Allstott, Warwick Dunn, Martin Gramatica. Those were all draft picks under Dungy and Rich McKay. It ended up being Pro Bowlers. You know, Donnie Abraham was also a Pro Bowler. So,
Rondé Barber,
there's
third
just,
round.
an awful lot of players that McKay and Dungy drafted that made the Pro Bowl. And then, you know, some guys that didn't, they were also pretty good under that regime too. Dexter Jackson, Super Bowl MVP, Dwight Smith, who probably should have been the Super Bowl MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't that way with the draft under Gruden. And that was a big reason for his demise in Tampa.
And there was another Dexter Jackson taken in the second round.
Oh, awful.
I would have to say that
slip and slide.
In my tenure of covering the Bucs, I'd have to call that there have been some really bad picks, but that one I think has to take the cake. That was, I mean,
second round pick at
Appalachian State.
He had one great game against Michigan.
Yeah,
and in a big upset at the Big House, Appalachian State beat Michigan at the Big House. Dexter Jackson was just a fast guy, almost like a Jacquez Green, but Jacquez Green was actually a better player, kind of a fearless punt returner. That was not how you would describe Dexter Jackson. I called him a slip and slide because once he caught the ball, whether it's punts or kickoffs, whatever, he did not want to get hit, and he would slip and slide before taking any contact. A very, I think the scouting report on him should have said lax intestinal fortitude.
has no onions whatsoever. There have been some bad picks, no doubt, but they have certainly when you look at this particular team and obviously winning the Super Bowl, the draft has been huge, but free agency has been as big. They've gotten it all right. That's how you win Super Bowls. That's how you put great rosters together. And now they have an opportunity to add a couple of what I would call impact players in the first and second round, and what may be Tom Brady's last year here. And for me, you know, it's still all about 12. And but that may mean fortifying the defense, because I think the offense is set. This is a 30-point a game offense the way it sits right now. If you didn't add anything. So and Tom understands this, you gotta have both things to win. You gotta have defense, and if they can add a couple of impact players defensively, I think that to me would be the philosophy of this particular draft. What do you think?
Listen, last time I checked, Tom was at the Super Bowl, right? When he was throwing three touchdowns in the first half. But the real story, even though he was the MVP, Todd Bowles was the MVP, really, with his defense keeping the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes out of the end zone, 31-9 victory. And that's what you just said right there, JP. This is a 30-plus points per game offense, and Tom did his part. But you don't win that game 31-9 unless the defense does their part. And a great defense makes life easy for a great offense, and Brady knows that. And so, I think that this will be a more defensive-minded draft. And I know that there are some people, and we've even kind of maybe started the Zion Johnson to the Tampa Bay campaign a couple months ago in identifying guard as a need. And then, of course, Ali Marpet's departure, and then Alex Kappa leaves. They traded a draft pick for Shaq Mason, who I think is going to be an upgrade at the right guard spot. So a lot of mocks still have the Bucs taking a guard in the first round to replace Ali Marpet at left guard. The problem with that, JP, is they've got three good in-house candidates that this team really likes. Aaron Stinney, who's a veteran in a contract year. He's going to want to show up and show out. And then you've got Robert Hainsey, last year's third-round pick that the team really likes. Yep. He's the backup center. They're moving him to guard this offseason to give him a legit shot there. And then Mr. Versatility, Nick Leverett, who started a preseason game at left tackle, started another one in the preseason at center, and then played guard in the Colts game when Stinney was out.
That's right, yeah.
And Marpet was out and played really well for his first NFL action. They really like this kid's versatility and upside. That's three bodies.
Yeah.
You got contending for one spot that already know this offense. I'm not saying that they're better than Zion Johnson, right? Or even maybe Kenyon I don't think it's as good as Johnson. But JP, if you draft a guard and that player can't come in and be that Aaron Stinney initially,
right?
He's sitting on the bench. Your
Right.
first round pick is essentially a red shirt. He's sitting on the bench, not helping you because you don't rotate offensive linemen in. Unlike Joe Tryon-Shoyinka last year, who rotated in, saw plenty of action
And made an
as a
impact.
nickel rusher inside, as an outside edge rusher, rotating with JPP and even filling in for him as a starter. So you could draft a safety, Lewis Cine out of Georgia. Even
Love
though you
him.
have Keanu Neal, you can put him in there, and he'll see some playing time as a rookie, and then he might be the eventual replacement for Neal, who's on a one-year deal. You can draft Logan Hall, who we have in our latest Pewter Report mock draft, or Devonte Wyatt out of Georgia. You can put those defensive tackles in rotation with Will Golston, with Ndamukong Suh when he re-signs, and you're still going to get value out of that first round pick. So for that reason, I just don't see them drafting a guard in the first round because, and Jason Light alluded to this in his pre-press conference, you just don't know about these kids till you get them in the building. And they might like Zion Johnson's film, and there just might be a learning curve. And in Tom Brady's last year, you can't afford to have your first round pick, whoever it is, be a bystander.
No, and looking at your mock draft, you talk about positional needs, interior defensive line, tight end, running back, safety. And those, I would agree, interior defensive line and tight end and safety or corner, I think are your impact players in the first three rounds. And I think the wild card here is tight end. Because as much as I think that Gronk is coming back, and I was told when Brady retired, I was told by somebody very, very close to Gronk that he was done. And Brady wasn't coming back. He was not going to play. He was done. Now, obviously, Brady coming back changed that, but I still think in his heart, he's not. I don't think he's there yet. I think the last year's injuries and everything else is. So
you know where he is?
Yeah,
he's in
Gronk
Vegas,
Beach.
getting ready for Gronk Beach, right? That's what he's doing. And listen, I don't see him getting signed until after the draft, and I don't think they'll show up until after the OTAs. I think he might be there for the mandatory minicamp, or I could see Gronk waiting until later this summer and signing and just showing up for training camp. I mean, he knows the offense. Right. He's got a rapport with Brady. I think he might say, I'll use training camp to get in football shape. It's what they used to do back in the day. Yep. And I think that's how he's going to play it. He's going to enjoy this offseason as long as he can. Enjoy his summer, and then come back and play some football in August.
And I think it would be negligent if the Bucs did not address that in the draft within the first three rounds. I really think they should because, even if he does come back, he, you got to have some insurance because right now you got Cam Brate and Cody McElroy. That's it. So you got to have some insurance and obviously
Trey McBride.
Yeah,
that's a guy they like out of Colorado State. And I tell you, JP, even though we have Logan Hall in there as the pick at number 27, we were so close to putting Trey McBride in there at 27, and I think some fans would probably cringe at that, but there is some value. We just talked about the lack of value in drafting the third running back off the board with the fifth overall pick back in 2005 with Carnell Cadillac Williams.
Right.
You could be drafting defensive tackles 3, right? Assuming Jordan Davis goes and then Devonte Wyatt probably before number 27.
Right.
So if Logan Hall is your third defensive tackle, you're picking the third defensive tackle at 27, or you could be picking the first tight end off the board, Trey McBride. And there is some value in that too, because this is a deep tight end class, but it's really deep in guys that are ideal number 2 tight ends. And I think that they look at McBride as a player who is really kind of like a tight end 1, with a starting caliber tight end. And like you said, with only 2 tight ends on the roster now, they might want to secure that guy. I could see the best case scenario for the Buccaneers, if they like Logan Hall and Trey McBride, like we think that they do. They trade back a couple spots, maybe to Detroit at number 32, who moves up to get a quarterback. They pick up an extra middle round pick. They draft Logan Hall at 32. And then they package their second round pick and the mid round pick they acquired from the Lions, move up in the second round early, and grab Trey McBride, and they come away with 2 guys they really like. Had both of those players in their past 30 visits in the building, And that would be a huge win, I think, for Jason Light and Todd Bowles.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 6'4", 246, but just the just ridiculous productivity, which I love to see in these type of players.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of old school. The numbers I like are catches and yards. You know, give me some give me some productivity. Over 40 times any day of the week. If guys can get it done,
and he's got a good 40 time. I mean, he ran a 4.56 at his pro day.
Mm-hmm.
And what Jason Light loves about the kid is he's a Midwestern kid from a small town in Colorado. All there was to do was play sports. He's a multi-sport athlete, and this kid loves to block. You watch his interviews. He loves to block just as much as he loves catching passes. Team-oriented, humble kid from the Midwest.
Yeah,
he just screams Buccaneer, and I don't think he's going to be as dynamic as a Gronkowski in his prime, but I'm trying to remember a better tight end athletically and production-wise in Tampa. I mean, I think he would be better than O.J. Howard, which you never really looked up to the athleticism.
Yeah.
Better than Cam Brate because of his athleticism. McBride's a really good athlete. I just think that he would be probably the best tight end that I can recall this team having, maybe my 27 years of covering.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackie Harris was a good tight end back in the day.
Yeah.
Free agent import out of Green Bay, but I think he'd be a hell of a tight end.
Yeah. 90 catches, 1,121 yards. And in high school, Fort Morgan High School was led the school record for points in basketball, most home runs and runs batted in for the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, tremendous football player as well. So I love those well-rounded athletes. Any other surprises you think when you look at the NFC South? I think the Panthers are going to go Malik Willis. What do you think?
Boy, I think that,
or the Falcons.
They've really put themselves in a position where they have to pick a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what they're trying to do is maybe finagle a way to get Baker Mayfield before that selection, because I don't think they pick again until the third or fourth round.
Yeah.
So, but ideally they would love to grab one of those offensive tackles. They need another tackle opposite Taylor Moton. And their offensive line is just a sieve. You saw that when the Bucs played them and racked up the sacks.
Yeah,
they need some offensive line help in the worst way, but they also need a quarterback. I mean, they made a big mistake of not just trading for Sam Darnold, but picking up a six-year option. So you're going to have a mediocre Sam Darnold who's going to be making $27 million this year.
It's crazy.
And they're trying to find a guy to replace him. I mean, that's awful. Personnel management, awful cap management there. So I think ideally they would love to find a way to get a quarterback before Thursday so they can use that premium number 6 overall pick on a top-notch tackle, because one of those guys is going to be there. But you're right. They might have to go Malik Willis. They might have to go Kenny Pickett. And if I'm a Buccaneer fan, I'm like, sure, go ahead and draft a
rookie
young,
quarterback,
unheralded developmental quarterback who's not that good. Overdraft a quarterback.
Yep.
And
ignore your other
twice
needs
a year for the next 4 years.
Absolutely, we love that. Who would, if you could say right now on day one, who will be the other starters in the NFC South at quarterback?
I mean, Marcus Mariota right now.
Right. Yeah.
Is that one Jameis Winston? And and until I see somebody else, Sam Darnold, right? I mean, those are the three guys. The Buccaneers have. There's no reason why they should not win the NFC South this year. There's just no reason. The Saints scare me because Dennis Allen is the defensive coordinator and the head coach now, and they've always given the Buccaneers fits. Yeah, and I'm also frightened because I really love Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. I think he's a phenomenal receiver, and I just have got a feeling he's going to go to New Orleans with one of those two first-round picks. My hope is that because they've got kind of a possession receiver in Thomas, that they might want to go like with an Olave or a faster guy to complement him. Yeah. But Treylon Burks is just, in my opinion, he's the best receiver in the draft.
He's dynamic,
and that would scare the crap out of me if I'm the Buccaneers and have to match up with that guy twice a year, because he can do so much inside, outside. He's got speed. He's got 6'3", 225-pound size. He's a difference maker, and the Bucs love him. They just don't think he's going to be there at 27. But I would hate to see him go to a division rival in New Orleans and play him twice a year.
Do you think the draft philosophy storyline this year that will be different is the overdrafting of receivers? Is everybody looking for the next Justin Jefferson? And I think that's probably where it's going to. Some players will be overdrafted. Do you think?
I think so, because you see these
Jamar
guys,
Chase.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase come out. Tyreek Hill obviously was a late round guy, but as you see the value at wide receiver with how much these players are getting paid, how much they're worth in terms of a king's ransom, Deebo Samuel, for example. So I think the importance of that position is as high as it's ever been. Having said that, I don't see any generational players in this draft. I mean, even Treylon Burks, there's some mixed, opinions on him. People love him or people like him. I think you're going to find people that don't like him, but some just don't see the specialness that I do. But yeah, I do think that some of these guys, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, who's coming off the 20 ACL, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, I think some of these guys are good, but I don't see them being great. And I do think they're being a little overhyped.
Yeah, I do
some
too.
of them, and will be overdrafted, and that's fine.
It's not our problem.
Exactly.
We're good at receiver.
I think Tampa Bay would not mind drafting Treylon Burks at 27 because you need 4 good wide receivers. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think the Bucs are going to draft a wide receiver unless he is just a dynamic player, like really good value at the right round.
I just don't think, and that's why I think the Bowls kind of philosophy may come into it. I mean, he's got to have a bigger role in the draft. I mean, that's just part of the gig, right? And I think just philosophically, when it comes down to splitting hairs, that they're probably going to lean defense in those first 3 rounds to get those impact players. Going
Jason Light, I just think with Todd Bowles being a defensive-minded guy, obviously defensive coordinator for this team still, and a former safety, I just think it's going to be Lewis Cine from Georgia, or it's going to be Logan Hall from Houston, one of those 2 guys. Now they could go different direction. Kyler Gordon, cornerback out of Washington, is very appealing. They could go Devonte Wyatt, although he's 24 years old, only had 5 sacks in college.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
And, you're drafting, if you want to help your pass rush, why are you drafting a guy that had 2.5 sacks last year?
No production.
And that was his career high.
Yeah.
There was 6 other Georgia Bulldogs that had more sacks than your first-round defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Just doesn't add up for me. I think Devonte Wyatt's a good player. I don't know that he's a difference maker.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right, tell the folks where they can get the best draft coverage on the interweb. That'd be pewterreport.com.
That would be pewterreport.com. And we've got some primetime podcasts this week, 7:30 tonight, 7:30 tomorrow night on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. And Thursday night and Friday night, we're going to be having our draft show. It's actually on Saturday as well. But Thursday night and Friday night are the first round Thursday night, second and third round on Friday night. And then Saturday, we have wall-to-wall coverage from rounds 4 through 7. That's going to kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be actually live at the team facility at the Advent Health Training Center, affectionately known as One Buccaneer Place. And so we're going to be there. We invite you to join us on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. Subscribe to that. And you can also follow us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report.
All right, my friend. Great stuff as always, Scotty. Appreciate it. And we'll be tuned in this week. Pewter Report's got the best stuff. We'll be there. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it, JP. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit of, dare I say, NBA talk. These playoffs are very interesting, I got to say. And shocking development. Brooklyn gets swept. Not shocking to me. Stay with us. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. The world economy is in chaos and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock.
this is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Our second hour brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Christopher Lugo and his medical team will take care of you in a very different way. If you're looking for a new primary care physician, he is your guy. They spend lots of time with you. As Doc once told me, sometimes patients are like, can I go now? That's how thorough they are. Instead of just, a 10-minute walk in, write your script and get out, they're going to find out exactly what's going on with you. And also concentrate on preventative medicine, getting you in great shape so that you don't get sick, getting your immune system up to par. And you do that with supplements, exercise, sleep. They have a whole program for you. He works with some of our top pilots in the military, and he can use all that cutting-edge technology and information to help you as well. So give him a call. Just go to their website, BAMMC.com, BAMMC.com, and get all their information. Please tell them that JP sent you. Time to change it up. Get some different advice from a great cutting-edge medical doctor, and that's Christopher Lugo. All right, let's talk a little NBA here. We got TJ Rives coming up at 11:15, so we'll get back to Bucs, and we're going to go down a little bit of memory lane with him as well on some of the dubious and great draft picks. Greg Allman brought this up on Twitter. You were talking about this today. Your top 5 Buccaneer draft picks that weren't first-round picks. Off the top of my head, I got to go Rondé Barber, 3rd round, obviously.
John Lynch.
John Lynch.
It's a 3rd round pick, right?
3rd round pick as well. Those would be top 2. As I go through it, I remember some of the bad ones more than anything.
Chris Godwin has put himself in that discussion.
Yeah, Chris Godwin, another 3rd round pick. We've had big time 3rd round pick. Ali Marpet was
3rd round pick, right?
I think he was a 2nd round pick.
No, but Donovan Smith was the 2nd round pick that year.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, either way, it wasn't a 1st round pick. So, yeah, those are 3 all pros right there. One Hall of Famer and one would-be Hall of Famer.
At the moment, Antoine Winfield looks like he's going to make a case at one point.
Yep. Yeah, another one of my favorites, no doubt about it.
I'm trying to think of the former Super Bowl team who on there was not the 1st round pick. Obviously, Mike Allstott, not a 1st round pick.
Nope. Donnie Abraham was a huge part of it. The other Dexter Jackson, the good Dexter Jackson, I think he was a fourth or fifth round pick,
late round pick
out of FSU. One of my favorites.
I'm trying to look for like an obscure name that maybe we forgot about over time. That's what I'm trying to think right now.
I'm trying to think of running backs, but most of those were high draft picks.
Yeah, because Cadillac was not saying he was great,
fifth overall
but
pick.
he was a high pick.
Yeah, he was a high pick.
Doug Martin was a first round pick.
Ricky
Bell, was he a first round pick?
Yep, Ricky Bell was a first round pick.
Eric Redd
James
was
Wilder,
a first round pick.
Eric, yeah. All these guys are first round picks.
God, as a team picked more first round running backs than the Bucs?
Probably not.
Was Wark not a first round pick?
He was.
Jeez.
He was a later first round pick. Yeah, I think it was like 20. I think it was 28th. I know that was his number, but I think it was also he was a late round pick. There's never been some dubious ones, no doubt about it. Especially first round picks. Keith McCants, the whole Bo Jackson saga was just ridiculous. With
ridiculous.
Hugh Culverhouse screwing him over at Auburn. I mean, just brutal draft stories for the Buccaneers. TJ and I will relive some of those. I want to talk just for a little bit about this NBA, the playoffs that are going on, because I think they got some really interesting storylines. I think it's just pretty much solidified last year when the Bucs won that I think the days of putting together super teams are over. Even the Lakers championship kind of, I don't know, with Anthony Davis and LeBron and the bubble. I don't know. I don't know if we I guess we would have to count that one as kind of a, putting the superstars together type championship. But I think now, if you look at across the league, the best teams are teams that are homegrown. The Suns, who without Devin Booker now, you think they have a chance of losing to the Pelicans?
Yeah, I do. And I'm the biggest Chris Paul fan out there, but 4 points I think he scored in the last game there on Sunday night. It was not pretty.
Worst performance ever.
Yeah, and the New Orleans crowd was really, really into it. Kind of took over the game. Have you seen this guy, by the way? What's his last name? Alvarado for the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I mean, this little, like a nap.
Jose Alvarado.
This little nap that they have on the court, and he's everywhere right now defensively.
Yeah.
They just have Herbert Jones was a second-round draft pick this year and finished like in the top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting, which is very rare for a second-round pick in the NBA. And then they have the CJ McCollum, Valanciunas is playing really good. Brandon Ingram, who the Lakers said, nah. So, yeah, that team is sneaky good right now, and the series is now, I think, 2-2 with Game 5 tonight. Anything can happen. Yeah. I think if Devin Booker can't play, they're going to lose that series.
He's not going to play. He's out for a few weeks. I don't think they lose the series. I think they find a way to win the series because I think the NBA wants to have them to remain in there. I think they'll find a way to win that.
Blood, man.
The Celtics dispatched the Nets last night in a sweep. First time ever that a championship favorite has been swept out of the first round. And to me, I don't know why they were the favorite. I think it was a joke. I mean, just because you put two great players together doesn't mean you're going to win in the playoffs. And I think the people that thought that the Nets were going to go far, frankly don't know a whole hell of a lot about basketball. I mean, and the Celtics just showed you that it takes a team. And of course, they have their stars in Brown and Tatum, but those are two guys that can play ways. Whereas Kyrie and Durant can play great defense when he wants to, but just in general, that Nets team defensively is awful. And even to the end of game situation last night, I mean, they so obviously needed to foul in a situation and just did not. I mean, they just are a very poorly coached team. And even when you decide to bring in Steve Nash as your coach and basically say, just roll the ball out there, we'll be fine. You can't do that in this league anymore. You can't. And I'm not blaming Steve Nash. He's a neophyte. But if you to just think that you're going to throw those two guys out, and I guess they thought they were going to get something from Ben Simmons as well, which is a joke.
Yeah, and that's what Steve Nash said. He thinks they're going to be better next year because Ben Simmons and Joe Harris is going to give them a lift or whatever. To me, it's not even about like Steve Nash. You could say there's no blame on him. I do blame the owners, whoever put him in that position.
Ridiculous.
First-time head coach, and here you go. Here's a super team for you.
Yeah.
Why can we get? I think there's a problem in the NBA. Can we get quality head coaches? In this league, that smelt like Jason Kidd right away.
Yeah.
Just bringing in a guy who's barely been retired Here, you get
Yeah.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Have fun.
No, that's
doesn't work
that's
that
the
way.
mentality of some of the media and obviously some ownership that it doesn't matter when you got two guys like that. And look, and Ben Simmons, I'm done with this dude. Now it's was his back really hurting the other day? Because his back was pain free for 10 days, and then when he was supposed to play, he couldn't play anymore. And now it's mental health issues. As much as we have to tiptoe around that, and I get it, but I'm sorry. If playing in the NBA for millions of dollars is causing you a lot of anxiety, bro, don't go into the real world with the rest of us. You got no shot. You got no shot to even pick up your freaking Uber Eats order. If you can't play basketball with the type of talent that you have, I'm sorry. I'm not doing this mental health thing with Ben Simmons. I can't do it.
I'm done with it too. I'm done with it.
Go play basketball. It's freaking basketball, bro. I mean, I come on.
He doesn't have no. And in all respect to mental health, there are serious things going on in this world in mental health that we don't know about.
Yes.
And in my opinion, Ben Simmons is making a mockery out of
He
that.
is.
This is ridiculous. He hasn't played in a single game since June 20th of 2021. Mental health aside, how the hell did you hurt your back? How did I not know that you had a back injury or you were holding out and not playing for the 76ers? You quit on your team in Philadelphia.
That's right.
And there was no mention of no back injury. And then you get traded to the Nets, and I got a herniated disc in my lower back. And we didn't know that? What'd you do? What'd you do, Ben? And by the way,
it certainly wasn't working on his free throws.
And Ben Simmons, again, you want to know how coddled this guy is and how just he just cannot take any heat or anything. Last night, he wasn't even on the bench. He's been on the bench.
He ran out of outfits. He ran out of pleather green pleather outfits.
By the way, I don't know. Maybe have some awareness. Why would I draw that much attention to myself?
Golly, are you kidding me?
It just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous stuff from Simmons. I lost a lot of respect for him as a player. I just don't think he likes the game of basketball.
No.
I don't think he likes it.
When he was drafted number 1 overall, I was like, he can't shoot.
I mean, I loved him when he came out. I did.
But it's a shooter's league. I mean, you can't shoot. He can't shoot.
And that's the problem, though. You have to learn that shot. LeBron James couldn't shoot when he got into the league.
Michael Jordan was not a great
shooter. Giannis, for crying out loud,
it's a learned technique.
Transformed himself.
Yes.
You have to put in the work.
Yeah,
Ben Simmons is in warmups and just passing the ball.
Yeah.
Bro, we know you can pass. We know if you were.
And you don't need to warm up to practice your passing.
No, you don't. Like, it's a shame because Ben Simmons, if there was 5 tools in the NBA, he's probably a 4-tool player.
Yeah.
Literally. Can you put any work in for the 5th tool, please, to help your team? But it's better yet, get your ass in the court.
Yeah.
You're going to let your team. He had a quote a couple of years ago when whoever got swept. He's like, I never want to go through that again. You just let your team down, Ben. You let your team down.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. The Raptors win 103-88. So Philadelphia now leads that series 3-2. And Joel Embiid has a bad thumb.
Yes.
They're
losing that.
Harden's just awful.
Harden's 15 awful. Points. Very passive out there. He doesn't have that mentality either. He doesn't.
I think a lot, and you look at Durant. Durant shot 37%.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, look, Celtics played great defense, but I hate to tell you this. These guys ain't who they used to be. They're just not. Harden's not. He could let himself get fat, got back into shape, but still has not been the player that he used to be. Durant, I saw last night, there were a couple of wide open shots that he just missed that he never used to miss at all.
Kevin Durant, as a one on a team, what has he proven in this league?
Nothing.
There's a reason why everybody clowns on this guy for going to Golden State. And I don't care. Get your ring, whatever, by all means. I didn't care about that. But if you're coming to the Nets, if you're leaving that situation to come to a team that's been a perennial loser for the last 20 years, trying to turn it around with Kyrie Irving, your little best friend there, and you get swept in the first round,
embarrassing.
Legacy tainter is what I say for Kevin Durant.
And did you see their post-game interviews?
Yeah.
Durant could give a rat's ass. He couldn't care less that they just got swept. At least it seemed that way to me. He had given
up. I knew they were winning that game yesterday. He had given up.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving saying, by the way, saying, after all this time, me not getting the vaccination and me staying away from the team had something to do with it, that we couldn't get that gelling. And no matter what you feel about that, that's a real thing. They had zero time to get cohesive as a team, and you missed out on good opportunities for that. And then
I don't blame Kyrie. I blame the stupid ass vaccine mandates.
I get that, but it does matter in the sense that they were not able to get their team together.
Well,
they thought he could just show up and play ISO, and they're just going to steamroll everybody.
I see a lot of people blaming that, but that roster was never going to beat the Celtics. I don't care. This roster was never going to beat no matter how many games they play together and how much they gel together.
It's old and slow.
It's that roster was not going to beat the Celtics. No way. Dallas leads the Jazz 102-70. They beat them 102-77 last night. They lead that 3-2. I think the Mavs move on in that.
It's the
series.
most non-drama talked about series right now in the NBA.
The Jazz scored 77 points last night. It's awful. Miami's going to take out the Hawks. They're up 3-1. They play tonight at 7 o'clock. Timberwolves and Grizzlies, 7:30. Really good series. Ja Morant has not been great in this series, to be honest, but Memphis is talented. They've got a very good run. I mean, obviously they won. What they go 18-2 without him?
Yeah,
down the stretch.
And Desmond Bain, who
Ja
Morant just won the Most Improved Player award, and he gave it to Desmond Bain.
He should, yeah. That guy is a shooting machine. And you're calling the Pelicans upset of the Suns, really?
I really am.
10 o'clock tonight. That series tied at 2. They're back to the Footprint Center in Phoenix.
Yeah, I thought the Suns were the favorite, but I'm telling you, they don't have a single guy on that roster who can create a shot for themselves. I mean, if you're expecting Jay Crowder to be the second shooting option behind Chris Paul, it's not going to work. DeAndre Ayton's a good center, but he's not Joel Embiid.
He's not going to score 35.
He's not going to be pulling up from the three-point arc. He ain't scoring 35.
They got to find some points.
They got to find it fast.
Yeah.
And right now, the Pelicans are doing a really good job right now. I think they're going to do it.
Do you think Zion's going to play at some point?
I don't think you want to mess up what's going on there.
I don't either.
Because like Brandon Ingram as the 1 just feels right. And then McCollum as the 2.
The only thing I see is him coming off the bench, give me 4 minutes at the end of the quarter, get me 3 buckets, and go sit down. Because he can do that.
He could play like 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he can, and those are important minutes. If you can, those end of quarters, end of halves, just bring them in when your starters are down. You just need that little, Vincent microwave instant offense, bring him in, get you some buckets. Freaking crowd would go bananas. Yeah. If you're at home.
I mean, he's still doing 360 dunks in the world.
I mean, and when that dude was playing, you couldn't stop him.
Oh, yeah.
He was unstoppable going to the bucket. You just can't stop him.
Yeah. I just don't know, with all the layoff, the injury, I don't know how effective he'll be in long stretches, but regardless, I mean, talking about set up well for the future. And right now, the Pelicans, I think they're going to pull it off. I really do. From 3-0 to, from 2-0 to winning the series.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll chat with the great TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guy who has seen all of the Bucs draft history over the years. So we'll chat with him. Stay with us. Italiano Insurance has been serving and working in our community for over 60 years, and it's not just about insuring all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucs, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799. Cryptocurrency is all the rage today. The market cap for the industry is now over $1 trillion. And you read about people making millions of dollars, right? You want to get in, but have no idea what to do? Or maybe you dabbled a bit for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to PAMMC.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
Fan Stream Sports.
All right, welcome back. Second hour brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, PAMMC.com. Also by the Golden Diamond Source. Mother's Day is coming up. Folks, don't be left out in the cold. The best selection, the greatest selection, the best value. And April's gemstone is diamonds. Go get your girl some diamonds at the Golden Diamond Source, Julian Steve Weintraub. Great local benefactors, great philanthropic events that they do over there at the Golden Diamond Source. So we always say keep it local. Keep it with those local businesses, and none better than the Golden Diamond Source. All right, here's a local legend, the great TJ Rives. Been covering the Bucs for, dare I say, almost 3 decades, my friend. And you're only like 25 years old. I don't know how you do that. It must be the drinking from the fountain of youth. Just like Brady. How are you, buddy?
I always love hanging with you, and yes, there may be some lies told in that previous statement. Everybody can figure out what they are. I have been around and have seen a thing or two with the old Buccaneer drafts. You love these stories.
Oh, I love them.
Our buddy Paul Stewart has really got my juices going on Buccaneer nostalgia and drafts and whatever. And he put out a great podcast where it's not just me, it's the Wah Cummings that was on the Buck Beat forever.
Yeah.
We have Martin Gramatica telling his draft story. We have another Buccaneer historian whose name is Dennis Crawford. Dennis does a great job of going over drafts in the 1970s and early 80s and why the Bucs did this or did that. I remember being a teenage TJ, 1986, April 1986. This is when the draft was on Monday, and all 12 rounds were on Monday, starting at like 8 a.m. all the way until like 10 p.m. or midnight or whenever they finish in that smoke-filled ballroom in New York. And that year, the Bucs had the number 1 overall pick, and everybody was hot for them to take the Heisman Trophy winning running back, Bo Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember because there was so much controversy about whether or not he was actually going to come here, horrible team, would he play baseball? So I remember being excited. You know, this was the Buccaneers in the midst of being the Yucks, the horrible, terrible Buccaneers. But you at least had hope that Bo Jackson was maybe going to help the situation or fix it. I remember my father's taking me to school because the draft began at 8 a.m. and he's taking me to school. I was not yet driving yet, didn't have my license yet. We're sitting in the car. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. They come in on the radio and say, let's go to New York, and here is a live radio feed of the beginning of the NFL draft, and Pete Rozelle says the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have selected with the first pick Bo Jackson, running back, Auburn University. And I was excited. And just like the rest of the 1980s with the Buccaneers, quickly depressed, like having the tablecloth yanked right out from under the Thanksgiving spread, my friend. There you go. There's a story on a Tuesday for you.
Did Bo do an interview like right there at the draft or somewhere and just basically say, I'm not going to Tampa Bay?
So remember, in these days, the draft picks basically were not at the draft. It was not as big a television event. ESPN had only just begun to televise maybe that year or within maybe a couple previous years of that. And again, they were sitting, this is the truth. If you go back and watch some of this, if you could see it on YouTube or the stuff, they were sitting like off in the corner or up in the balcony of that room, that ballroom or whatever. So he was not there, but he had made it very clear that if you do this, I am not coming to play there. And I don't know that he even gave an interview to anybody, JP.
Yeah.
After that happened. I remember our buddy Scott Brantley, who we have great affection for. Brantley told this story forever. The Buccaneers had him here for a visit, and Scott actually took him with another player. I can't remember who it is, and the two of them and Bo went fishing because Bo loved to fish.
Yeah.
And they were gone for like 5 or 6 hours, like out on the Gulf fishing. And he goes, when we got done, I basically knew from all the things he said, he's not coming here. We got to draft somebody else. And Brantley's going, I tried, remember Scotty, I tried to tell him, nobody want to listen to me. I tried to tell him, don't take him. They took him anyway.
As the story,
and he never showed up.
As the story goes, didn't Culverhouse in the draft process, like buy him dinner or something, or give him something, and then turned him into the NCAA. And so he couldn't play. So he couldn't play baseball, right, or something like that happened. That's why he got totally.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I think I watched the.
Well, remember what was
Hughes?
What was at the root of Hugh Culverhouse besides greed was Alabama Crimson Tide loyalty.
Yes.
And here's Bo Jackson hated Auburn when Auburn is finally good enough to maybe beat them occasionally because they've got. So that doesn't surprise me. That sounds right. I think that probably did happen. We got to look that up.
Yeah, from what I remember from the 30 for 30, they brought him in on like the team jet and everything. And Bo thought that it was against the rules. And he checked with Hugh and was like, you covered this with the NCAA, right? And Hugh was like, yeah, it's all good. And it wasn't good. Because of that, he couldn't play his senior year of baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's when he said, I'm not going to play for you.
Culverhouse screwed him over and then drafted him. What an idiot.
One of many. Join the list. Exactly.
Oh, well, let's hope I think our regime is a little bit better right now. I think we're just a little bit better. Yeah, I think we're in a little better situation.
Talking about the Glazers?
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to show you, Man United is doing a protest right now as we speak. Glazers out. So they're not popular over there.
No, they're not. I know they're not popular over there, but when they make Tom Brady the Ted Lasso of that organization, then everything will be fine. Later on down the line. So anyway, so great stories. Pratt Falls, none. So many. Well, you have another good Chris Simmons story, do you not?
Yeah. So there's one on the podcast too about Roy told this one about when Chris Sims was drafted. And look, I love him. You covered him
I love Chris.
as well, and he's all over TV on NBC, etc. But John Gruden was none too happy with that pick, and that's very well known. I was around John a bunch at that time, and he was never happy with Chris Sims. But in particular, he was unhappy because they didn't really discuss that before it got done. And if I'm not mistaken, and we got to look that up, I believe that's the year where they did not have a first or a second round pick.
Yeah, I think so.
And Chris was the first pick in 2003. That was the second year of the 2 years, no number one, no number two. And the first thing you're doing is grabbing a quarterback.
No,
because
they had a two.
Rich McKay is thinking long term about who replaces Brad Johnson, et cetera, and Gruden was not on the same page. I believe that's correct.
They had a two.
So much so that Gruden went off.
They had a two in Dwayne White. Remember him, the defensive end from Louisville?
Yes.
Was the 64th overall pick, and then they took Sims with the 97th overall pick.
I'm going to tell you, y'all covered the team during this time. Is this the worst draft class in the history of draft classes?
Which one? The 16 draft?
Who are the 2003? Who are these guys?
It was bad. Yeah. 2003. Dwayne White, who had it did have 27 sacks in the league. That's not terrible, and 3 interceptions. Lance Nemo. They were finding Nemo, the 4th round pick, the tackle that never played. Austin King, who was a center, I guess played 34 games. Sean Mahan was a guard who actually did play. And then Torrey Cox, defensive back, that played 56 games and got an interception. That was the entire draft.
You got to appreciate in that time period, this was the breaking up of Gruden and Rich McKay, where Gruden won out and forced Rich McKay out.
Yep.
And part of forcing him out is I'm not going to play any of your draft picks. I'm not. I mean, how bad was it from a morale standpoint, et cetera, that you're basically not going to embrace the draft picks that you do have. He never believed back in the 2000s, and maybe still doesn't to this day, in the value of the draft and developing young talent. His thing was always go get players in free agency and put them on the credit card and go over the salary cap.
Yeah.
And constantly trying to buy offensive linemen. You remember, JP, every year it was like, go spend $30 million in those days, which was a ton of money, on 2 free agent offensive linemen to try to help, and it still didn't help. Back in 02, 03, 04, 05. Constantly trying to buy offensive linemen. So that was part of the breakup for sure.
With Gruden, we gave away 2 1s and 2 2s. So in 2002, we drafted Marquis Walker in the 3rd round, a wide receiver out of Michigan. Never had an NFL catch. Never had a catch.
That was and by the way, that was someone that Gruden was hot on. For the record, really wanted him. and say that again.
Zero
never
catches.
materialized.
Never,
and that's your first
catch.
pick after not having a first and second round pick. Gosh.
Then Travis Stevens in the
Yep.
fourth round from Tennessee at 32 carries in his career. Jermaine Phillips.
And your man Nick Geddes
safety.
might have been bigger than Travis Stevens.
Yes,
he was not bigger than a minute. I mean, he was not. And I've been around Nick. He was not a very big guy. Was quick, but I mean, we looked at that and went, okay, there's your next pick.
There was some bad drafting going on then. So, all right. So we hope that this one will be better this year. And I think we talked a little bit about this last week. The philosophy should be, let's find some impact players on the defensive side, because the offense is going to score 30 points a game. We're pretty sure about that, right?
Well, I think that's conventional wisdom, and I agree with that. So it would not surprise me. I've told you this before, I think, in the last couple of conversations. It wouldn't surprise me if they take a defensive player with the first two picks, one on Thursday night, and then again to begin things on Friday night. Defensive line, defensive back, depending on what's there. And that's the real – I'm not copping out on you, but that's the real unknown, that if you're going to sit there at 27, what is still there? Is there a defensive lineman that you are just in love with that is still going to be sitting there 20, 25 picks deep into this draft? You just don't know. I mean, I'll take you back to another story, and I know you're looking at all the historical picks right in front of you, and I don't have it in front of me. One of the first years that they split this up over 2 nights was Raheem Morris and Mark Dominic regime, and I want to say it was 2010 or 2011 draft. And I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it was not the Josh Freeman draft, but it was the next year. It was not the 2009 draft. I think it was the 2010 draft. So they make the first round pick, whoever that was. And then the next night, they had 24 hours to think about it, and they could not believe that the UCLA defensive lineman Brian Price was still sitting there.
Yep.
So I think I have all this correct in my head, and you may have it in front of you.
Yeah.
So they made the pick just based on value and their board, not so much the need of a defensive lineman. They just believed that they could not live without and pass on Brian Price because they had him as a first-round pick, and they had 20 – instead of having a few minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to think about it, they had 20 hours to the next night to think about it, and they overthought it.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth with that player. So –
yeah, that was Daryl McCoy, Brian Price. Aurelius Ben was the second round pick. They had Myron Lewis, defensive back from Vanderbilt, did nothing. Got Mike Williams, a wide receiver from Syracuse. He was actually a pretty good pick for a fourth rounder. Dakota.
But you had taken McCoy.
Yeah.
You had taken McCoy in the first round. You already had Gaines Adams, who you had picked, I think, in the first round. Either that or they were about to trade Gaines Adams in that offseason. So you already had some defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember they did that was not a need pick.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pick made because they talked themselves into it as Thursday night became Friday morning, became Friday afternoon. We can't pass this guy up. And that's part of what's going on for the last decade when these guys, JP, don't get picked on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And you start wondering, is that guy really a value? Is that somebody we can live without here in the second round? We gotta look strongly at this, and that's how you talk yourself into somebody that maybe you wouldn't have talked yourself into on the previous circumstance when it was all happening rapid fire on the same day, and the second round was coming right after the first round, and the second and the third round were over with usually in about an hour to an hour and a half, and you better have been smart in the second and the third round, like these details you're listing.
And who could forget the 2016 draft where the Bucs had 3 picks in the top 59, and they went Vernon Hargraves, Noah Spence, and Roberto Aguayo. Oh, wow. 3 in the top 59, and that's what you came up with. And
but right after that, if I'm correct, is where you got Ali Marpet.
No, that was
the previous year with Jameis Winston, where you got Marpet and Donovan Smith.
Yeah, that was a great draft. Yeah, Jameis, Donovan, it was a second round pick, and so was Marpet. They had 2 seconds that year. So yeah, they had 3 in the top 60 the next year and got Jameis, Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet, and then Quan Alexander. Yeah, pretty good draft. But that
was a good one.
Yeah, 2016.
But yeah, and again, back to the Hargraves thing. They were in need of a defensive back. maybe a little biased towards not only the fact regionally towards the University of Florida, but the SEC. That didn't work. And then with the Ohio thing, that's going to be debated years from now still. Is that the worst? I don't think that's the worst draft pick ever, but it's definitely in the conversation to trade up into the second round and take a kicker who is gone less than 2 seasons later, who is gone, by the way, all the way out of the NFL within 2 seasons.
Yeah.
You shake your head. I will tell you this, though. You learn these things. Well, I'll circle it back one more time to what Paul's podcast is on buckpower.com, free plug. The Buccaneers took a punter under Ray Perkins in the 4th round of the 87 draft, the Vinny Testaverde draft, named Monty Robbins. You'll see it right there on your list.
Yes.
Monty Robbins out of Michigan, not a ho-hum unknown school. Monty Robbins was terrible in the preseason, and Ray Perkins cut him. The 4th round pick did not make the opening day roster as the punter. So it's not unprecedented for the Buccaneers in particular to have screwed up with a punter or a kicker. 4th round, not as bad as the 2nd round, but the guy didn't even make the roster. I did not remember that Monty Robbins averaged like 36 or 37 yards a punt, which is terrible in the preseason, and Ray Perkins cut him before the regular season began.
Whoa. Well, let's just hope this one goes way better. And the Bucs are having a draft party at the stadium, right? The West Club.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Are you going to be
again, my understanding now, it is for season pass members only.
Right.
They're making the season pass member only event. I know in years gone by, they have welcomed everybody in, and I believe that it is the case that it is season pass members only. And then in the club area, it is the suite holders, the club seat members, that kind of thing, and special invitees. So they've restricted it a little bit on that. Obviously, there's coverage everywhere. It's all over TV. It's all over local media. It's all over Buccaneers.com and the app for free. You're going to see everything and know everything that happens. The only thing I'm saying, brother, is it's going to be a long evening. It is going to be at least 3 hours into this process and maybe longer before the 27th pick comes up. So unless Jason White and company, Todd Bowles, et cetera, elect to jump up a few spots, you and I are in agreement, don't give up a whole bunch to jump up a few spots. Because there's going to be plenty still there. We're looking at like 11:30, literally, Thursday night before you're looking to pick a player. Welcome to having a really good team and picking in the back part of the draft at the very end.
Yeah, and I think they're more likely to trade down and pick up an extra pick than they are to trade up.
Please don't tell me that we're going to do this. I'm all for doing this, but we're going to do this and be there all of Thursday and then trade out of the first round and not even pick anybody.
Yeah,
it could happen.
All those people are going to be there.
It could happen, but man, that's a lot of talking Thursday night if they don't even take a guy. But we'll see.
So
that's why we do this. I still remember. Hey, just real quick, I still remember the 2012 year where they took Mark Barron. I believe I have this correct. You have it in front of you.
Yes.
In the top 5, right? Or where was Barron? Like 5th or 6th as the defensive back out of Alabama.
Yep.
So we interviewed him. We did the whole thing. We had Mark Dominic on. We had Schiano on. We had all. We got Mark Barron on. We did this whole thing. So everybody leaves the draft party, by the way. And you remember covering all this and doing all this. You were probably over at $1 when all this was going on. You were interviewing all the same people.
Yep.
We're still there talking on the radio because the first round's going along. And then we're almost done. We're on like almost the final pick, and the final pick's going to be the Giants. And suddenly it's blinking on the screen, trade, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. And I'm looking around, and there's like the janitors at Raymond James Stadium and our radio crew. There's like nobody left. And the Bucs are now picking again and picking Doug Martin, the running back, who ended up being pretty good. Had a good first couple of seasons before he had injuries.
Yeah.
So that lesson, again, is for this week, which is you never know all the way to the end of the first round here that you could trade back, trade up, whatever, because that year we thought we were done. We were just playing out the string, if you will, and then suddenly we're going back to work, trying to figure out who Doug Martin is, trying to get Mark Dominic back on the phone, et cetera, et cetera. Welcome to the fun of the draft, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully that happens this year. You get a little bit of extra. Mark Barron, that was the year I was begging the Bucs to take Luke Kuechly because I'd seen him destroy Florida State for 4 years when he was playing at Boston College. I'm like, this guy's a tackling machine. He's, we got to go. But we had drafted the great Mason Foster the year before, and they loved him. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on. It's Luke freaking.
Yeah, you did end up with some guy named Devonte David the next year in the second round.
Yeah, actually, that was he was.
So
in
it
the
did work out
round.
eventually, but I do remember, on Devonte David.
Yeah, imagine having Devonte David and Luke Kuechly side by side on your phone.
We just saw the picks that all went after Mark Barron. It was followed by 5 All-Pros or Pro Bowlers.
Immediately after Mark Barron, Ryan Tannehill went to the Dolphins, but then Kuechly to the Panthers, Stephon Gilmore to the Bills, Dontario Poe to the Chiefs, and Fletcher Cox to the Eagles. The next 5 picks. Like you literally could have thrown a dart at your board and hit somebody who was being All-Pro, and you went Mark Barron. Oh my Lord. Whatever. All right, my friend. Great stuff as always. Always appreciate your historical perspective. And yes, go buckpower.com. Great podcast with TJ and Paul Stewart. Speaking of English accents that you love to hear chat. So,
he's fantastic and just great nuggets on all that. And Martin Gramatica tells his draft story as well. Getting drafted in 99. So great historical stuff on that pod. It is out right now. I cannot plug it enough. Thank you for the platform, my friend. I always love being with you. Let's see what happens Thursday, and we will stay in touch.
All right. On Twitter, at Bucs Sideline Guy. That's your man, TJ Rives. Thanks, partner. Appreciate it.
All right, boys. Behave. Thank you.
I don't know about that. Some great memories.
I love doing that. You say memories, I say nightmares.
Yeah.
As a young Bucs fan and constantly being subject to awful drafts. I just went through all of them from like the Gruden era up until 2015 it took to get an actual good draft.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, the names that I wish I could forget about.
Well, it just goes to show you that drafting is so critical in this league. I mean, just decisions are, that. And you look at it like you look at this set of players right now, and you say, man, you should be able to identify who the great players are going to be. And I think honestly, if I could say, the biggest mistake that teams do is overthinking. They overthink it. It just you look at a guy that's like McBride, this tight end. I played Colorado State, got 90 catches, 1,100 yards, but maybe not the competition. Like bull crap. Just turn on the guy's productive at any level. He would be productive. And, and I think they're always trying to find holes in guys' games, and they always cover it up with facts. 40 times, broad jump, stuff that doesn't mean shit when it comes to football.
I was going to say this is relevant. The top of the draft, Trayvon Walker, for whatever reason, has become the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And guy has, in his college career at Georgia, which, by the way, if you look at the Georgia defense, he's probably the 6th, 7th, 8th guy I noticed on the defense when I watch him.
Yeah.
He had 9.5 sacks in his career. Okay.
That's just not enough.
Okay. Aiden Hutchinson, 17.5 sacks, and he got 14 of them his senior year and 27.5 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau, the number 1 player in his high school class, the number 1 recruit coming into Oregon, did it for all 3 years. All of a sudden, he's falling, and Trayvon Walker's the number 1 pick. And I'm like,
based on what?
Are we oversaturating the amount of draft coverage that there is? And that we're like, we're just overthinking it so much now.
This is what general managers do. They fall in love with measurables, and they fall it because they think that they can coach him into being a great instinctive player. And I like Luke Kuechly is a perfect example of that. Look at his production, and yet you're going to take Mark Barron, a safety, ahead of Luke Kuechly. I mean, seriously. And I know they got Devonte David in that draft, but Luke Kuechly would have been. You have the two of them, you may have gone to the playoffs. Or you could have spent that on somebody else. But whatever. It's overthinking. I think more than anything else, it's overthinking. And I think that the Bucs have gotten it right the past couple of years.
Yeah,
ever since Jason Light got some help from Bruce Arians, he's tended to draft a little bit better. We always look at the general manager and the scouting staff. Coaches have a lot to do with drafting as well, and the staff that you get some guys that really have a good eye for talent, and you're gonna hit on your draft picks.
Yeah, and that's why I look up and down this draft, and I think it's because you're seeing all these things. I think Pewter Report had said that they only see 12 first-round guys in this draft. I just saw the Athletic did an article where the NFL scouts say there's only 15. So it's just like mayhem right now about who's going to be the next, 15, 16 picks, whatever, in the first round. And it's just crazy to see what people think is like a first round pick, like wide receiver, for example, which I think is being a little overvalued. Who do you think the number one wide receiver is? How long before you get to Drake London at USC? All of a sudden, he's the number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that he looks like a Mike Evans clone.
I love him.
I love him.
I watch his tape, and he's he's physical, he's big, he can run, and he just has a real good instinct for catching the football. And I know that sounds kind of nebulous, but I see so many guys that run fast and are really good routes, and they're just not natural catchers of the football. They don't position their body to make contested catches. I think that's kind of an instinctual thing.
Yeah, and
he seems to have that.
Yeah, and maybe it's the fact that we don't watch much Pac-12 football, and that's probably what the problem is there, or why I'm not seeing it. Because I watched every Alabama game probably, and it's hard for me to watch Jamison Williams and not go, damn. That looks like if somebody's going to walk into the league day one and do it, it looks like that guy.
He reminds me a lot of Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a great game breaker. He's a big time game breaker, but I don't see him as a complete receiver. He ain't going to be blocking anybody.
No,
but I like guys like that. I like the Chris Godwins, the Mike Evans. I like the more complete receiver. He seems more like a one pony to me, but a good one. It's a trick to have that you can run by everybody. That's valuable.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. That's valuable. I always think of the number one, though, as being a more complete receiver, a bigger guy with speed that can do, check all the boxes.
Yeah. And that's why maybe Drake London's getting that hype because there's not many people that are like Mike Evans in the league.
Yeah.
But again, there is only one Mike Evans. And I don't know how I feel about drafting a guy just because, he might look like Mike Evans. I don't know if you could replicate that.
No.
It's just fascinating. And I know that Scott did their final mock draft, and I think they had Logan Hall going number one. And that's a name that we haven't really discussed much.
Big kid out of Houston, 6'6", 283, very productive player, which I love. And one of the things that Jason Light has talked about that he really, when he was self-evaluating himself, is that I missed on character. I was drafting football players based on just their football ability and not what's inside. And they've paid a lot more attention to that. They've drafted a lot of captains, a lot of leaders on their teams, guys where football is everything. This is one of the things Rondé always says is that you could just tell when guys come to your team, are they guys that want to be in the NFL? They want the celebrity, they want the money, they want to be an NFL player, or do they want to win? They want to be dedicated to their craft. Is football important to them? Mm-hmm. And I think there's like I would put OJ Howard in that other category, a great dude, nice guy, super guy, but maybe football wasn't the most important thing to him. And it came easy to him because of his size and speed and everything else. And that's why I like kind of undersized guys. I like the Rondé Barbers, the Derek Brookses of the world, because they're always playing with a chip on their shoulder. They've got great talent, and they might be a couple inches short, but they make up for it in everything else. So I think that's what Jason Light has started to pay more attention to over the last few years. And I think it's paid off.
Yeah, I'm glad they found that philosophy out because, like we said, when we went down Nightmare Lane or Memory Lane, whatever, it wasn't always like that.
I remember, interviewing Gaines Adams when he first got here, and they brought him into the, to the new $1 place, and just the eye test alone was startling. He had no upper body strength. It's like his chest was very, very small. He's kind of shaped like a pear, but he was quick and he had a great get off at Clemson, and that helped him get a lot of sacks. But I was just like, this is I think he went 4th overall or something. I'm saying, are you kidding me? This guy and his demeanor was he was like a really, really country boy. And may he rest in peace. He's just a really nice guy. But I was like, he was no Lawrence Taylor. Let's just put it that way. You didn't get that sense of, I'm a bad mofo and I'm going to wreck this place. Yeah. There was just none of that. And it seemed like it was all numbers oriented.
Yeah.
I would never interview that guy and go, oh, he's going to be a great NFL football player. Like, he's got the demeanor. No.
And you probably felt different about Jerry McCoy, I'm assuming, because it seemed like that turned out, at least from Jordan McCoy now. I don't know how he was back then to interview when he first came here, but now he's like one of the most well-spoken guys in the league. And very insightful.
Gerald, I like the pick, and I think he turned out to be a really good pro. I wanted Ndamukong Suh, more, but he went ahead of Gerald. But when he came in, it was like he was a take charge kind of guy. He was a leader kind of guy. He's a big guy, and I think he did play well. He just had nothing around him, and I think eventually the losing just got to him, and he just kind of like, man, I think there comes a point where you're just like, I can only do so much. I can only care so much that it just eats you alive if you care too much, and the organization around you is just awful. So I kind of try to give him a pass for that. But the bottom line is he just, he wasn't the type of leader, I think, in the end that we needed. But I know that sounds like I'm kind of hemming and hawing, but I think you're just that many coaches, that much losing, it's got to eat you up.
It's hard. It's very hard. And that's why Levante David, the fact that he played in the same era as him and has still remained and able to keep his head on his shoulders and still play lights out football is a credit to him. Yeah. But it doesn't change McCoy. I think he was the face of the franchise for a 6-year period. Yeah. No, I mean, think about that. I don't forget that.
And there was a lot of losing in there.
There was. And
he was always, and he never shied away from the microphone.
No, he didn't.
He was honest. Stepped up and he was honest. And he stepped up and he took the questions. And, I think in some ways that was not really fair to him. Yeah.
And that's when you talk about guys who love football, though, trying to relate it back to this year, that's the Lewis Cine is the one I still come back to. That he feels like he just. Yeah, I just feel like there's you kind of can sense who has bust potential and who doesn't. I can just see him being a hard thumper back there and a guy that just loves football. And I think he's been to have the same personality as Todd Bowles. Yeah, which tells me that they're going to be all over him.
Yeah, I see that same thing.
Then again, I'm trying to figure out who are the Bucs going to select at 27 that we're all going to come the next day and go, ooh, what was that? I keep trying to think who that guy is. Because I feel like we've talked about 5 or 6 guys that we think could go, but who are we not talking about who the Bucs could take where we go, ooh, I think yours might be Kaiir Elam.
Yeah, God, no, do not take him. Who I really think would be a mistake, and I know I've been talking a lot about this, is we got to get another receiver. We got to get a 4th receiver. And I get that, but I think there are a lot of good ones in this draft. I'm trying to pull up all the names of the wide receivers. I just don't want to go. I just don't want to get one at 27. I think we can get. I mean, look where we got. We got Godwin in the third round.
Yeah, and we know they love Christian Watson, the kid from North Dakota State.
Yes,
who I think is rising though, and he might sneak into the first round. I don't know, but there's a lot of value back there. In that draft, and a lot of names that you recognize from college.
Yeah, 6'4", 208. Didn't he play high school ball here locally?
Yeah, he did play here locally.
Jesuit?
I don't think it was Jesuit. It was one of the prepper Catholic schools, I think. If I'm correct.
Well, Jesuit is a Catholic school.
He got me there.
Where did he play? God, this is gonna bug me now.
Here, let me pull it up real quick. So it doesn't bug you anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, they do like it, but that's why I'm saying don't use your first round pick on them. Don't use your first round pick on them, and I think that's the one that would piss me off if they went wide receiver with their first pick. I want to see an aggressive corner plant. Yeah, close enough to a prep school, right? I want to see an aggressive corner. Maybe the kid from Clemson, Booth, Lewis Cine. Kyle Hamilton's going to be gone. Oh, and I don't know. He's a playmaker. There's just something about him.
No. Now you're overthinking it. You were there next to me for that FSU game. You saw the guy.
Yeah,
range. He's a player.
We'll see. I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's top 10 draft potential, but where a lot of people have him going. I think I would not like to see them get a wide receiver early on, even if, and I think, there's so many good ones that they'll be tempted to do so.
Yeah.
So keep GM Brady out of the room.
I'm going to hate the tight end. I know Scott floated it. I'm going to hate the tight end pick if it's a first round pick. I'm going to hate it no matter what. I don't like taking tight ends in the first round. I don't value tight ends that high.
I think that kid's going to be really good.
You do?
Yeah. Trey McBride. I think he's going to be really good.
The production's there.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Travis Kelce. He's a great athlete.
Frick, man.
Watch him
That is.
run and watch him catch the ball.
He doesn't break tackles or really have any explosive traits on that side.
That's not the tape I saw.
I don't know what tape you're watching. He doesn't break tackles at all.
I don't know. I've seen him run through a bunch of guys. And he's only at 246, which I think he can get up. They probably get a little bit bigger too, hopefully, and maintain his speed. But I don't know. Yeah, I think at the first round, I don't want to see that. I'd much rather see a defensive player, a defensive tackle, or Cine would be great. So we'll see how that shakes out. Anything else we did not get to today? I wanted to play some other audio, but I think we'll pass on that for today. Anything else trending today besides ivermectin and Elon Musk? People are losing their freaking minds, absolutely losing. And I think I saw what did you say? Sean King said he's giving up Twitter. I'll believe it when I see it. They'll be back on.
No, he already is back apparently.
Oh, is he?
And he claims that he did not delete, but his account was not coming up yesterday.
And Dr. Robert Malone, who is banned, is back on. So it's going to be interesting. I heard a story about how this whole takeover is going, and they're having to send people in there to make sure Twitter employees don't sabotage the platform. And Trump, I guess I said Trump may be back.
He's not coming
but
back.
He said he doesn't want to come back on Twitter.
It would make no sense because of Truth Social. It would cement that as a failure, which I'm pretty sure it is. It would cement that as a failure, and he probably has a lot of money into it, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even care either way. The whole Elon Musk thing, I'm sitting back here as a casual Twitter member, just watching both sides freak out. And one side's very excited. The other side is like the worst day ever. And you know what's probably going to happen? Twitter's not even going to change.
Oh, it's already changed. It's already changed dramatically. Yeah, because you could say ivermectin on there today. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, I don't talk about ivermectin on Twitter. I don't know much about it, but I'm saying for me, the average Twitter user that uses it to see sports videos and tweet my thoughts about said sports, it ain't changing for me.
Yeah,
it ain't changing at all. So I'm just going to enjoy the meltdown from both sides and stay out of it.
It's a good way to look at it. Oh, there's one other thing I want to talk about. Supreme Court today is actually yesterday was hearing arguments on the high school coach out in Washington that was fired for praying by himself on the 50-yard line after games. And our local school, Cambridge Christian, also I think is part of this lawsuit, whereas a separate lawsuit where I was actually at the game in 2015. We were playing for the state championship, and we were playing against another Christian school, and we were not allowed to use the official loudspeaker at the Citrus Bowl. Because it was, it's public property, I guess, and you're not allowed to use anything at that particular time. So we sued, and I think it may be part of this lawsuit, and I think they're going to win, which I think is good. You should be allowed to pray on a football field and not be fired as a head coach. I can't believe that we've even gotten to this point, but we'll see what the Supreme Court decides. All right, our thanks to TJ Rives and Scott Reynolds who came on today. The Bucs will be having their draft party at the stadium. I believe that's for season ticket holders only. And we're not too far away from that. Go Bolts tonight as they take on Columbus, and the Rays as they welcome in the Mariners. So another big double dip tonight. Have a great day, everybody.